In a time where we are constantly amazed by the might of modern athletes who are constantly pushing more weight in the gym, strength and conditioning coaches across the nation are constantly trying to find the missing link between the weight room and the athletic field. In my opinion, that missing link is plyometric training. Essentially, plyometrics are the rapid stretching and contracting of the muscles that create muscular power. They are the fastest way to turn strength built in the weight room to speed and explosive power on the court or the field. What's up guys, welcome to the video. The topic of today's video is my top 3 favorite plyometric exercises on how to improve your speed and power for sports. So if you're a new athlete and you're new to my channel, definitely recommend going below, hit the subscribe button and checking out the playlist that I've created. It's based around how to improve your speed. I'm also in the middle of a speed training program, so be sure to check out some of my past vlogs and follow along with my journey, because I'm trying to show you step by step how to improve your speed and things you can do outside of the gym, inside of the gym, to just become a better overall athlete, which is my goal for this channel. All right, so before I get into this and start telling you about my favorite plyometric exercises to do to improve your speed and power, a lot of people kind of get it mixed up and think that, this is, like, I don't want to say that this is the one thing that you should do in order to improve your speed. If you're trying to improve your speed, you should be sprinting. You should be sprinting the race that you're trying to get better at. Let's say you're a baseball player and you want to improve your 60-yard dash time. You should be doing the majority of your work sprinting. The bulk of it needs to be specific. Now, not to say that these things are not specific to improving your speed or your power, because they are, but they're not as specific as whatever the thing is that you're trying to get better at or the skill you're trying to develop. So I just wanted to preface that because you see me doing a lot of different things. For those of you that watch my vlogs, I am doing a speed and power development program where I'm trying to improve my speed and my vertical off of 1 and 2 feet. So you might think those are the things that you need to do, but what you need to understand is that I'm also doing the things, like practicing the skills that I'm trying to improve. So just take that into consideration before injecting these things into your training. So now diving right into it at number 3, might just put a little countdown right there. So diving right into it, number 3, I got hurdle hops. In my opinion, hurdle hops are great because they involve rhythm and timing, which in my opinion are 2 very overlooked aspects in speed and power development. Hurdle hops are great because it's easy to add complexity and variability to them. For those of you that have seen the crazy variations that some of these Olympic high jumpers do, like Stefan Holm, I definitely suggest you check out him on Instagram. He's got some crazy videos of him doing insane variations of this exercise. However, I think that being able to change the visual stimulus as well as the physical stimulus is also an added plus when being able to do this. When you do a hurdle hop, it's not like a vertical jump where, there's something in front of you. So you have to visually see this object and think, how am I gonna get over this? How am I gonna maneuver my legs to get over this? Or whatever variation you're trying to do, how do I have to approach this object in order to get the maximum amount of result in terms of getting over it? And just like other plyometric exercises, you can mix it up by adding weight. You could wear a weighted vest. You could stagger the positioning of the hurdles. You can rotate your body when you go over the hurdles. You can also do 1 foot or 2 foot variations. I mean, it's kind of up to you, obviously. It depends on your goals and what you're trying to accomplish in terms of getting more out of your speed and power. One thing I suggest to people who are new to doing hurdle hops or just newer trainees in general is to stick the landing in either the first few weeks or the introductory part of your training cycle for when you go over the hurdle, instead of just reacting and as soon as you hit the ground, jumping as high as you can to go over the next one. When you go over the hurdle, stick the landing for a split second or a second, however long you think is necessary, and basically make the connection with your mind of, okay, this is the position I need to be in every time I land over one of these hurdles. So the next time you go over the hurdles in a reactive way, you're going to be that much more efficient. Now, similarly to the hurdle hop, at number 2, I have the drop or depth jump. Like the hurdle hop though, it's important to understand how you're sticking the landing, so I suggest you start with depth drops and then progress to depth jumps further on to your training cycle. Depth jumps are very powerful because of the amount of ground reaction force that you're creating after you jump off a box or a ledge. I've seen people jump from ladders. It's actually kind of crazy how far people can take this exercise. The reason I like depth jumps though is for that reason. They're very powerful and they can force a strong adaptation. It's easy to make gains after doing depth jumps, especially if you haven't done them before. So I suggest you be pretty careful when you introduce them into your program. And another thing that I really like about them is that they're easy to learn. There is no learning curve with this exercise. Like, you kind of get a learning curve with stuff like doing Olympic lifting variations and more of like weightlifting stuff. But for depth jumps, you're just jumping off a chair, you're jumping off a box, you're jumping off a ledge, and you're sticking the landing. That's it. A simple but effective exercise to utilize in your program. The drop or the eccentric portion will definitely force a strong adaptation, and it's definitely hard to recover from. So I recommend that if you do depth jumps or depth drops, that you're counting the number of ground contacts that you take per session, as it's fairly easy to overtrain, especially if you're raising the box or the ledge that you're jumping from every training session. Also, be sure to add complexity and variation to this. You could scale it even farther. So my favorite variation of the depth jump is actually the depth jump to Viking toss, or like after you drop off the ledge or the box, you take a medicine ball and you toss it as far as you can or as high as you can. There's a bunch of other variations that go along with this as well. You can do a depth jump to a dunk with a basketball or even a medicine ball. These are things that improve the sport specific aspect of it. So number one, lastly but not leastly, I have bounding. Bounding, in my opinion, is very important, and it's kind of like a hybrid between a single leg jump and sprinting. A lot of experts believe that bounding ability is directly correlated to your 40-yard dash or how fast you are in a short sprint. Bounding is definitely key because I think that it's more impactful than a sprint, but a little less impactful than an actual max vertical jump. So if you're a 1 foot jumper, this is going to be more of like a speed exercise for you. If you're a sprinter or you're trying to improve your speed, this is going to be more of a power exercise for you. So it can kind of go both ways, and it's kind of like the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Also, just by looking at the movement, you can see that bounding and single leg jumping are basically kind of the same thing. It's very, very similar. So if you're good at bounding, you're going to be great at getting a good single leg vertical jump. However, it's also a very powerful exercise. I recommend starting at between 10 and 20 yards when you start introducing bounding into your training. And also what I like about bounding is that it allows you to keep an upright posture and work on your backside mechanics as you cycle through if you're doing single leg bounds. If you're doing just same side single leg bounds, not alternating, this can also be an exercise that involves a lot of power, there's a lot of impact. So I definitely suggest using between 10 and 15 yards to start. Start very short and then progress to longer and longer as you get good at them. There's also a lot of variable methods to bounding. Currently right now I'm running a 20-yard single leg bound into a 20-yard sprint in my sprint training program. You can see that in my vlogs that I post on a weekly basis. So for those of you who are interested, definitely check those out. As far as the technique goes, in my opinion, it's kind of a harder one to get a feel for, and that's really what I like to stress to people, is get a feel for it. It's a specific feel. It's almost like a finesse. Every time you leave the ground, it's almost like you want to kind of push your foot back into the ground before it even touches. So that way you get almost like a bound effect. And like the others, there's a lot of ways to make bounding more complex or change the variability aspect of it. I've seen dunkers do a standing triple jump or 3 bounds to a dunk. I think that's actually a crazy thing if you can do that. And there's just many more you can really think of, I'm sure. You could apply this basically to any sport that you're playing. So I've seen a lot of variability between these 3 exercises, and that's one of the main reasons why I have them. And they're very general in that sense. And in my opinion, that's kind of a good place to start with your plyometrics. Bounding is my number one if I had to choose the best out of the 3. So of all else, thank you again for watching this video. Be sure to go down below, hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to check out my vlogs and all the other videos in this speed training series. And once again, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Yeah, God, here I am explaining to people on the internet about bounding. The exercise is called bounding, and I'm talking about the actual effect of bounding. Oh my God, man. Can't believe this is what I'm doing with my life.